Okay, we're going to continue the reading. Meanwhile, as new reports continue to pour into the Pentagon of more sightings of mysterious objects, the Air Force summoned several saucer specialists from Dayton, Ohio, for a conference today. So in 1952, the Air Force had saucer specialists. Called to Washington were Captain E.J. Ruppelt and several fellow officers from the Air Force Technical Intelligence Center at Wright-Patterson Field. The Air Force said it is receiving new reports of flying saucers at the rate of 100 a month. The Air Force contended that its intensive investigation of more than 1,000 saucer reports have convinced it that they are not being sent over the United States by an enemy. The Air Force added that its investigation indicated also that they are not being controlled by a reasoning body. 48 hours of intensive investigation has failed to explain radar and visual observation of unidentified objects accompanied by brilliant white and colored lights on two successive weekends over Washington. The so-called saucers were seen on both Air Force and Civil Aeronautic Authority radar scopes. How the CAA sightings were made was described by a radar specialist, James M. Ritchie of the Washington Air Force Route Traffic Control Center. Dozen objects, unit-identified objects, began moving onto our radar scopes. I thought people who reported flying saucers were just seeing things, he said. Now I don't know what to think. I have talked to representatives of the Air Force, and they say they can't explain the appearance of the flying objects. All we can do is tell you what we saw on our instruments. I'm going to post, this goes on and on and on and on. I'm going to post a link up for this flying saucer devices from outer space as wartime Marine pilot. Yeah, Major Donald E. Kehoe, that's Kehoe right there, wartime Marine Corps. And this, I don't, I don't see why this isn't in the school system. This is documented by the United States Air Force, United States military. You see these are high-ranking military officials who were going back and forth from the nation's capital, and they said on record, that these were flying saucers, and they were shooting the flying saucers down. So were these, what was the intelligence behind these flying saucers? Going at speeds of 1,000 miles per hour. So I'm going to put a link to this up. I believe this gets into anti-gravity technology, Tesla technology. John Hutchison, I'll put a link up to some of John Hutchison's work. I believe this gets into basically free energy. If the mainstream public had the technology of the intelligence behind these flying saucers, we probably wouldn't be paying light bills anymore. We probably wouldn't be still using fuel for our cars. A lot of the economic issues that are in place today, we wouldn't have these had we had knowledge on how these objects, what these objects were, and where they came from. This gets into if you look at John Hutchinson's work, the Tesla technology kind of gets into the U.S. Psychotronics Association with Eric Dollar. This gets into the Royal Wright technology about how Royal Wright was healing cancer. Bob Beck was creating devices to cure cancer in dogs, once upon a time. And this is free energy these people were using coming out of the Tesla technology stuff. And I think it's closely related this unidentified flying object phenomenon. Technology that's free energy, anti-gravity technology, is directly connected, I believe, to this extraterrestrial stuff or flying saucer phenomenon. And this isn't it. It's not over. There's multiple. You could sit here for 10 years reading newspaper clippings about the United States military dealing with unidentified flying objects. And this was mainstream news. This isn't something, that a conspiracy blogger made. This is something that was in the mainstream news with real generals and real Air Force intelligence officers and stuff. And so I'll put a link up for people on the Jameel Rawls Show.